Hola Bandidos, ¿cómo estamos? Welcome to Mel's Magic Official. I'm Magic Mel and this is my angel Charles. Welcome to episode 13 of season 11. I hope you're doing well on this Wednesday, 25th of October. And as you know, in the past episodes, especially in episode 10, I've been struggling to come to terms with what is happening in the world, our outer world, and where to situate ourselves within this context, because I always tell you that the outer is a reflection of our inner world. So, whatever darkness we see out there, we need to address our own inner darkness first, because we are in a time where we are going through a big transmutation, a big transition. In Hindu culture, it is the Kali Yuga. So it is one of the turn of the ages. And we have been in the so-called dark ages spiritually, with only 25% consciousness and 75% physicality. And we are balancing it out again. That's why this inner process of balancing our masculine and our feminine energies are so important, because what we're seeing played out in general is a distorted masculine energy. And this is nothing against the masculine. First of all, regardless of our gender, we all have masculine energy. It's a type of energy. And secondly, we need healthy masculine energy. So this is not against masculine energy. Quite to the contrary. Even if you identify more with masculine energy and you are a male identifying with mainly masculine energy, you have suffered under these times too, because the distorted masculine is an oppressive and aggressive energy. It has taken the masculine too far into its toxic, distorted expression. So we are all balancing that out again. There's the rise of the feminine coming up in all of us, regardless of our gender. Remember the yin and yang symbol. Let's say one opposite is the male and the other one is female. If you look at the two fish, I call them two fish, you see, for example, in the white fish, let's say that is the female, there's a black dot. So even if you are, say in my case, identify as female woman, there is my masculine aspect, the black dot in me. And the same goes for the opposite sex and any other sexes, depends how you identify with. But let's say if you're a man, male, identifying as such, you still have your intuition, your feminine aspect energy within you. So we are all asked to balance these energies out and to express the exalted, the divine version of those energies, because we're all suffering. And I've also shared with you how, given to what is happening outside in Palestine, yet another genocide, I had to ask myself, well, given my own makeup, I come from so many lineages, and I forgot to mention an important one, Filipino and Mexican. So I have the conquistador, I have the oppressor and the oppressed within me, and I struggled all of my life to balance both energies out. And I've internalized a lot of the oppressor, the critic energy from the toxic matrix. I've internalized that and I've had to heal that, to disidentify from that voice. And you might be familiar with that voice too, the one that shames you, the one that tells you you're not enough, the one that thinks and tells you that there's always something missing, that you're essentially, intrinsically, and innately rotten and wrong. So, although we might not be conscious of that voice, that internal oppressor has really been the one that has kept us in these lower frequencies and has been induced by society in a attempt of, well, not even attempt, in a programming of mind control, trauma-based mind control that keeps us looping in shame, aggression, fear, and anger. So for any of us who are out of direct conflict zones, it is really important for us to do the healing work, because if we don't do the healing work, if we don't reconnect with our sovereignty, we cannot use our free will and we cannot really create in parallel with the divine will. So here's another call for you to take your healing work seriously, get all the support that you can, and remember that we have been given two divine gifts that make us in the likeness of God. And if you don't like religious terminology, I'm not particularly religious, but I call it God, then say the universe, the higher power, source. We have two characteristics that make us in the likeness of source, and that is imagination and speech. So even Albert Einstein said imagination is more important and more powerful than knowledge. So we are image making creatures. We can create our reality with the images we impress upon our mind and the emotions we impress into our subconscious. The electromagnetic field, we are emitting a signal out into the quantum field, and we can collapse quantum waves into particles. That is how we create. So, in this time of trauma-based mind control, it is important to pause and to really ask discerning questions. Where is information coming from? What is the underlying agenda? Is the underlying agenda division, divisiveness, and hatred and fear? Or is it unity and cooperation and love? Because we are in this stark contrast right now. And it's important not to have our energy, our creative energy, siphoned into a timeline that is called a doom's imprint. We have to make an effort to reclaim our energy, our sovereignty, our mental capacity, our imagination, our free will to choose a new timeline, because it is possible. We just need to become aware of that. I read week 8 of The Artist's Way, which I'm still plowing through, and it's an amazing book. If you are a poet, an artist, a whatever creative, screenwriter, screen director, film director, potter, and you are in a creative block, I recommend you work your way through The Artist's Way. As I read through week 8, a theme stood out for me, and it was gain disguised as loss. And I want to talk to you a little bit about how we can use everything that has happened to us to empower us. Meaning, as long as we can reframe situations, events, people in such a way that we can draw the lesson from it, we stand in our power. However, if we complain, if we finger point, if we basically give our power away, we are not free in our energy to create something new. We're basically then a victim. So if you're a normal human being, you tell me, haven't you also gone through either a traumatic event or a loss or disappointments, a divorce, a breakdown, a bankruptcy? Yes or yes? I want you to look at that if you haven't done so already. Look at that loss, look at that heartbreak, look at whatever caused you grief. In my case, also the grief of having lost what I think at that point I lost a creative project, the grief that comes with that. To look at that and to tell yourself nothing is really lost as long as I don't label it or seal it as lost. We can look at the situation in all honesty, in all sobriety, and say, well, what did I learn from that? And we can reframe the why me? Why did it happen to me? Into the more empowering questions, now what? Because asking ourselves, now what empowers us? Now what implies acceptance. And you know that as long as we're resisting, as long as we're not accepting, as long as we're complaining, as long as we're still looking into the past without accepting what happened, whether it was this person's fault or your mistake, at this point it doesn't matter. What matters is that you come back to the present moment, the only moment where you really have power, where you can really rewrite the story and turn the page. And not by denying the past. Quite to the contrary, we have to learn from our mistakes in the past. We have to forgive ourselves and we have to draw the lessons. Because if we don't, first off, part of our energy will be still frozen in that event, because we will always think of that event as inducing or triggering that sense of loss or that grief. So first of all, we have to accept it and process it and release it. And then we have all of our energy and all of our mental and emotional capacity to turn the page and write something different, having learned the lessons and appreciating the lessons, bowing down to the past and saying, I'm still here. And the only one who's stopping me from either creating something new or bringing peace to a situation is me. Because by me, I mean you. You're the one who still holds the pen in hand. I'm trying to make you think of a personal loss, of a personal tragedy, of a personal disappointment. But I also want you to think in terms of the bigger picture, the macrocosm. Can we come out of this traumatic loop that keeps us in the need for revenge, the need for aggression, the fear? Can we process that and regain our energy and heal and come back to right here and right now, reframe the loss, draw the lessons, and march forward, writing a new story? This is really important now, guys, because those of us who are not in direct conflict, it is up to us to create a new timeline, one that is not imprinted with the doom imprint. And again, it comes back to your personal story too. Do you want to continuously project your past into the present and thus recreate the same future? Or can you make amends and peace with your past and now write a new story? This goes personally, individually, and as a collective. The more we do this personally, the more we will feed a new energy into the collective, and the more we will open a new collective timeline. And this is what I'm actually wanting to head towards. Because timelines are splitting, guys. There's a lot of us who are aware, who are doing the healing work, and we must not lose faith, lose hope, and get distracted. If you go into your heart and you know deep down that you desire and want a better world, know that you can create that. Going back to imagination and speech and actions, how do we manifest? If you hold a vision of something that you desire in your mind, and you go into your feeling body and feel yourself into that vision, you will activate the quantum field. And if you stay in that vision and then align your speech with your beliefs, and most importantly, your actions, then you are creating a new timeline with your choices. We have to become very aware of that, aware of our choices, aware of our power, aware of our image-making capacity, our psychosomatic, magical powers we have. You know, some say there is black magic out there happening because we don't know anymore who's speaking the truth. Is it just one? Are we just set against each other, brother against brother? oppressor and oppressed switching roles, and we're all just being hurt. Who is actually behind this? We have to see through that. And we have to regain our power to create what we want to create, because we are powerful and we are capable of regaining our sovereignty. And what is sovereignty anyway? Sovereignty means to really use your free will to choose what you want to see in the world, what you want to create, not something that is induced from some exterior ideology imposed on us or that has been programming us. No. And our more aligned free will once we take back our power, our free will be aligned with the divine will. It's kind of ironic because then you're like, well, is it really free will? Well, free will is the capacity to choose, no, between what you desire and what you do not desire. And usually what we desire brings us joy, brings us wellness, brings us harmony, brings us peace, makes us feel well, is conducive to our well-being. And usually that is to do with the higher vibrations and the alignment with source. Because the closer we come to source, the better we will feel, the higher our frequency, and the more blissful our life is. And let's remember also that one of our abilities to respond, responsibilities, one of our greatest joys, once we come into Christ consciousness, meaning unity consciousness, meaning we are all one, meaning we're all in this together, meaning we are linked, we are not separate, isolated figures, then you know that one of the most exalted expressions of yourself is being of service to others, not just to yourself, not just in an egocentric way, but aligning with your purpose and your mission and your values to bring well-being to yourself and others. Win-win-win scenarios. Win for you, win for your brothers and sisters, and win for the universe. The zero-sum game of the old matrix is obsolete. So, coming back to gain disguised as loss. Gain disguised as loss. Look at your personal life. Have you made amends? Have you come to peace? Have you accepted your past? Have you forgiven yourself? Are you able to come back to the present moment with your emotions, with your mind, with your entire being to create something new that is more aligned, that is aligned with your higher self, with your soul? That is how you can create a better world. That is how you can contribute to the new earth. That is how we can make a difference with our choices, with our actions, with our conscious beliefs, with the conscious use of our imagination, with the conscious use of our words. Do your words contribute to division and hatred and fear and oppression, or do your words uplift, inspire, empower? Let's not take anything for granted. It is a gift to be alive now. And if you're alive, which you are, you signed up for this. You're part of this process. You're incredibly valuable. And all of us, we're healing our energies, the feminines, the masculines, the male, the female, everyone who comes in between. We are rebalancing our internal energy from the distorted feminine, masculine into the divine, exalted masculine. The divine, exalted masculine protects and structures and leads. The divine masculine does not oppress, control, and is not an aggressor. The divine masculine stands grounded in his truth. I love this quote. Creativity occurs in the moment, and in the moment we are timeless. Present moment, guys. In the eternal now, we can create something new. There was one more quote I want to. The world of reality has its limits. The world of imagination is boundless. Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Let's remember that whatever is happening in the 3D now has already been created. We can use our imagination to create something new, starting right here, right now. There was one more quote I wanted to share with you if I can find it. Yeah. Taking a new step, uttering a new word is what people fear most. Fyodor Dostoevsky. So, being brave and taking inspired action to create something new, yes, it might be scary, but that's when we connect back into trust and courage. And when we touch the ground and ask for resources from Mother Earth, from our spirit guides, from spirit itself, him, her, themselves. We don't have to do this alone. But we are encouraged to create something new. Let's create something that we want to see in the world. And let's remember that we got to become what we want to see in the world. So if we want to see more love, if we want to see more joy, if we want to see more creativity, more authenticity, more compassion, more brother and sisterhood, more unity, then first we got to do that internally for ourselves and shining out. I'll leave it at this. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your attention. Charles and I have got your back, and I'll see you for episode 14 coming up right after this one. Ciao, Bandidos.